Hey, what is going on, Can't Believers? Welcome to another Can't Believe I Made It podcast. I am your high performance mentor and podcast host, Desi Abeda. What is good, people? My gosh, I'm a little bit on cloud nine right now. As I record this a day before it gets posted, I'm recording this on the Sunday right before. We are just closing up on one of my vulnerability projects that I've really wanted to do. At the beginning of the year, I really wanted to make an emphasis on changing some things up from the perspective of not only my business, but really in a lot of ways, personal development. What sort of things do I get fulfilled with when I talk about it? What sort of things do I love working with people on? And I wanted to do this at the beginning of the year, and I was like, you know what? I really want to change up my mentorship programs to start releasing some new short-term things just to get their minds turning a little bit in different ways, and just to help them to observe their habits in different ways and help them observe where they're at currently and give them a forum or a place or a safe place to be able to work through some of that stuff. So goal number one for the year, or I would say probably goal number two, I wanted to make sure that I was much more intentional with the clients that I had, and I wanted to launch two different programs before the end of the year. So I got to accomplish two of those things so far. I got the third one that's going to be releasing a little bit later this month that I'm super excited about. So I hope, as we're talking about goals and we're talking about outcomes and helping you to be the most, I guess, highest, healthiest, and happiest self, I hope that you're chasing some of the same things too. I hope that you're chasing some vulnerability and chasing some hard things that maybe might be uncertain, but you care enough about your process and you care enough about your value system that it just helps you to continue to go. So I hope that really resonates with you, because I know it's something that I'm really working on this year and each and every day. So we just closed up our radical responsibility program, and my gosh, the outpouring and the support and the type of work that these individuals are doing in this program is amazing, and it's been so great as a mentor to be able to see it. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of their process. And just like you, I'm so thankful to be a part of your process as well. Obviously, as your host, as your mentor, but in a lot of ways, your friend. I'm doing life with you if you're continuing to tune into these episodes. So big shout out to you. So thank you. All right. Big topic today, Mentorship Monday. Obviously, we're taking bite-sized things and trying to give you applicable ways to show up as your highest, healthiest, and happiest self. And this is what we're going to tie into as we close out this 2021. All right, big topic today is sleep. When I look at four pillars of things that I hone everything back to, sleep is absolutely one of those. And out of those four pillars, and as a performance dietitian and as a high performance mentor, I always like to look at these four pillars as things that are going to create a foundation for you. Because if you want big things in life, right? If you want to chase that business, if you want to chase that creative idea, or you want to chase a healthier relationship, if you want to chase a healthier relationship with your finances, whatever that is, we can't not look at how you sleep, how you eat, how you train, and how you think and how you feel. We just can't not look at that, because those are the foundational things that create more fulfillment and that create healthier versions of yourself. So we can't not look at this. And so today we're going to go ahead, and this is going to be our 4-part series with our Mentorship Monday. So today we're going to be tackling sleep. And I like to look at sleep as the foundation to everything. Obviously, within these four pillars, if I had to talk about what my favorite is, I probably still, it's hard. They're like, I try to love them all equally, right? Because I think that they all play off one another. But if I had to really hone it back to one foundational thing, it has to be sleep, because sleep is going to impact your nutrition. It's going to impact the way that you train, the way that you move your body, and it's going to impact your mental conditioning. It's going to impact how you think and how you feel, because it's not just about closing your eyes, right? Sleep has literally a direct impact on your mental, your emotional health, and your physical performance. We know that too, just from a performance perspective. I can tell you, working with elite level athletes, any single time that they're like, "Hey, Des, we need for you to come talk to this person. They need some help with their nutrition." As I'm kind of like trying to build rapport and getting a little bit more of some info, 100%, I'm trying to see like, okay, before we can tackle anything of what we do here, how is this person sleeping? Because you can tell a lot about a person with their routine. Because in most cases, and you're probably one of these people, if you're listening to this at some point, within one of these four pillars, there's probably certain things that you're doing that you're not very proud of. And usually, especially from a mental health perspective, usually it's sleep. I can't tell you how often I speak to some of you, and it's like, yeah, I function well off of 4 hours. I function well off of five. And it kind of points back to, right now there's a really big thing behind like the hustle culture. Gary Vee, I love the guy. I think the guy is tremendous, but he's in that hustle culture where it's like, hey, sleep doesn't really matter if you're chasing your dreams type of thing. And I think a lot of us get lost in that. But here's the kicker. A simple lack of sleep is related to so many health issues and so many deteriorating performance indicators that we can't not talk about it. Because usually, foundationally, sleep, we can tell a lot about a person if the person is depressed, if they have anxiety, if they have different immune deficiencies, and also, other diseases that have nutritional implications. We can tell a lot from the person by just asking, like, hey, tell us about your sleep routine. Because the people that get inadequate sleep and that inquire sleep debt over time, these are the same types of people that battle with depression. These are the same types of people that battle with anxiety, that battle with other immune deficiencies, and then also with battle with some of their nutritional implications, the types of foods that they choose, right? Their cravings, how they choose to distract themselves. So there's just so much that goes into sleep hygiene that I feel like, from a pillar perspective, that this is probably one of my favorites because of how foundationally sound it can be towards bringing someone to their healthiest, highest, and happiest self, compared to someone who is continually struggling and is stuck and is really struggling with their mental health. We got to look back at the sleep, because many of us, and this kind of goes back to the hustle culture rather, that I was talking about earlier. Many of us get into that mind space where we're leading really busy lives, and we assume that in some ways, and for those of you who have been students, or you're probably, let's be real, anyone right now that is listening to this podcast has had at some point, if not right now, some issues with sleep, because it's something that we get caught up in. We get caught up in thinking that we can do more work. We get caught up in, I've had a tough day, or a rough day. My fatigue is really up. So you end up consuming more caffeine, or you end up getting caught in front of screens, like doing Netflix binges, and that takes away from your sleep. So there's just so much about it that I think, for you, holding enough space just to be aware and just to observe, like, hey, I wonder why this happens. So we've talked about this in different pods, right? We've talked about really helping you to understand that being the behavioral judger that you usually are, where you just engage in a shit ton of negative self-talk, and it ends up just developing into self-hate. We need to try to become people who observe and people who become curious. Being a curiosity scientist, I've talked about this in past pods before, right? Helping you to get to a point where you observe your behavior, you create a hypothesis behind what you're doing, and then you test it out. And then you observe your behavior again, and then it's cyclical in that way. And it's the same thing here, because most people within hustle culture tend to get into this mind space of, you know what, I can get a few less hours of sleep if I have to get some more work done. And it's really counterproductive, because you might be thinking to yourself that you are being more productive, that you're building a really great business in the future, or you're honoring your creativity by doing it at this time, and that's going to produce your success, when in fact, because foundationally sleep is everything. You think better, you train better, you eat better. It's everything. So I just want you to kind of try on this idea that right now, with where you're at, if you're struggling with sleep, take a look at some of the other areas right now that are taking from it. It could be your relationship, like I said earlier, with TV. It could be your relationship possibly with nicotine or cigarettes. It could be your relationship with caffeine. It could be your relationship with, possibly food late at night, overeating at times, binge eating. It could be your relationship to a bunch of things. So we just want to observe these things, okay? And the only way that we can do that, and this is really the biggest portion of what I would like for you to gain from today's pod today, is helping us to go back to identity-based habits. right? We talked about that with a lot of James Clear's work in Atomic Habits of creating identity-based habits and making sure that you understand what it takes to actually be successful. Because this other program that we're going to be launching here in a couple weeks, we're dialing it back to helping you to create better habits by helping you to create a new identity within those habits as it pertains to these 4 pillars that we'll be discussing over the next 4 weeks. Okay, so as we do that, I want to take you through, and you're going to be able to view this on our IGTV. Usually this gets posted, the video rather gets posted a day later. So if you wanted to view this, head over to I Made It Pod or head over to IG and give us a follow at I Made It Pod, and you'll be able to see this, or you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel, just so that you can get the visual. But as always, as I'm kind of walking you through this, I'm going to do my best to make sure that I walk you through visually and verbally of everything that you're seeing here. Okay. All right. So let's look at layers of behavioral change. And a lot of this work comes from James Clear and his Atomic Habits. And I felt like it would be incredibly influential to help you understand what it takes to actually change your sleep and what you can get from developing a new identity and embodying someone who actually takes care of themselves to this extent. Okay, so when we look at different layers of behavioral change, there's 3 components that we want to look at. And if you want to look at it from the standpoint of, I guess, inner work, and if you're looking at this right now, you're going to be able to see the visual. But for those who are just listening, I kind of want you to think about it's kind of like the Earth's core, right? It has different layers. And on the inside, we're usually within this analogy, the magma, we're going to look at that internal space right there as your identity. Okay, so the innermost circle is going to be your identity. Okay, the person that you think that you are, or the person that you are. The layer outside of that is going to be your performance. So these are the actions that you take, right? And the third layer is going to be your appearance. So this is the way that the world perceives you. So this is primarily what we are trying to look at. Okay. So let me walk you through from the standpoint of sleep, trying to create behavioral change behind sleep, what it actually takes to do that. And you can get a lot from this statement because you kind of get yourself a roadmap. So let's talk a little bit about what that roadmap might look like. So when we look at sleep hygiene, and this is how we're going to break this down, you're going to create a new identity-based statement for yourself. And you can insert this with any other type of behavior, but today we're going to stick to sleep, and we're going to stick to something that I oftentimes talk with a lot of you about as it pertains to work. Good work-life balance, right? Trying to find your own semblance of that. So let's kind of break it down with the statement that we want to create today and talk about why this statement is important. All right. So the person that you are, we're going to start there. We're going to start with your identity behind sleep. We're creating a new one here. So the type of person, so I'm the type of person who prioritizes my sleep above work. Okay. So that's our identity-based statement, if you will. Your performance-based statement as we go along into the sentence a little bit. So we're going to go, I'm the type of person who prioritizes my sleep above work by putting away my screens and work by 8 p.m. Okay, that's your performance part. Okay, that's the action that you're actually taking. And then as we tap into the way that the world perceives you, and as a result, others have made comments on how happier I am, or others have made comments on how much energy I have now. Right? Others can see a difference in me. Because again, we go back to the appearance, and this is kind of where people get really stuck. As a dietitian, I see this all the time. If someone will come in and be like, hey, I want to get down 50 pounds. That's my goal. It's like, okay, cool. That sounds great. Tell me why. Well, I just want to get 50 pounds. Okay, well, is it an arbitrary number or just why? Like, I don't know. I just want to be more confident. Like, okay, well, why do you want to be more confident? And that's where we can kind of peel the layers back. Because when your goal is just surface area, it's going to get knocked around and you're going to be more than likely to quit. And that's probably what's happening right now. Your goal is mainly surface. So we need to help you to understand what it takes to truly embody the type of person who prioritizes their sleep above work by putting away their screens and work by 8 p.m. so that others can see how happy you're and how much more energized that you are. Because that sentence right there can tell you a lot about what's going on. It can tell you a lot because it breaks down who you need to embody in order to become that person. And that's how we initiate behavioral change. And that's how we initiate identity-based habits. And that's the work that we need to do. And so what we're really going to be tying this into in the next, again, 4 weeks is we're going to take a look at sleep today. We did that. And then we're going to take a look at our other pillars. Because you already kind of know by now, there's homework. There's always homework. Okay, so as you're listening to this pod, I would love for you to make sure that you're not waiting until 2022 to do something. Do something with the knowledge that you're gaining today. So I would love if you would take a screenshot of this episode, hit me with your identity-based sentence or your identity-based statement. I am someone, as it pertains to sleep, I am someone who prioritizes sleep by, and then you can insert the behavior. And then you can also insert like, what do you want people to see? As a result, people compliment me on how energized I look, or people compliment me on the type of work that I'm able to pull out. Okay, because this is part of the work, and this is the type of work that we need to be doing. All right, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll catch you on the next one. We're going to be doing something a little bit differently on Fridays, not only just having some of our guests, but I'm going to try to work some different things in there just to create some different ideas, different engagement, different ways to teach you. I mean, that's what I like to do. I like to test things out. I try to be myself, the behavioral scientist that I needed earlier in my life. I wish I would have been that person, but I'm that person for me right now, and I'm trying to be that person for you as well. All right. Much love to you all. Catch you on the next one. Later.